Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Let's now take you back to our top story, which is all about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's sixth visit to France, which has seen the two countries advancing ties in areas concerning the future, from AI to nuclear energy and much else as well, including giving a lot of emphasis to people-to-people ties with the inauguration of an Indian consulate, spanking new Indian consulate in the port city of Marseille. To talk about it, we have with us Ambassador Mohan Kumar. He's been India's ambassador to France. And good evening to you, Ambassador Kumar. What do you make of what's happened overall over the course of the 3 days as far as the PM's visit to France this time around is concerned? Because a lot of focus on the future with the tech for the future, and mostly we've talked about AI and what will power AI perhaps in the future, which is nuclear energy.
Thank you, Gautam, for having me. I think this visit needs to be situated in a geopolitical context, which is very different from the past visits of Prime Minister Modi to France and the visits of President Macron to India. What you have in the United States is Mr. Donald Trump, who I think has brought about a certain degree of unpredictability and instability to the US positions on various issues, the transactional approach, and his approach that America is first before other countries. In this context, I see a natural convergence between France and India and the EU more broadly, but certainly France and India. You have to understand that France is also caught in the middle of the friction between US and China. France is also going to face the friction between US and EU. India has been able to navigate quite well, but this visit by Prime Minister Modi, if you want me to summarize it in one sentence, it is to enhance the strategic convergence between India and the United States, but also to reduce the trade dissonance between India and the United States. In this context, I see the relationship with France as being extremely important because it provides India with more geopolitical options. It provides India and France the same degree of strategic autonomy and independence that they want, not just from the United States, but also from China. Against this background, I think three important areas have been addressed. One, obviously, is defense, and I think a lot of progress has been made. We need to make the transition from a buyer-seller relationship to French investments in India and how France can transfer technology. The second area is energy, and I'm really pleased that there has been an emphasis on small and modular nuclear reactors, because we have been struggling, Gautam, to make progress on the Jaitapur nuclear plant. So this emphasis on small modular nuclear reactors is very welcome for India. And third, as you rightly said, people-to-people ties, and the opening of the consulate in Marseille is long overdue. I remember making this recommendation when I was ambassador. The choice was between Lyon and Marseille, and we said Marseille is a much better fit. Extremely happy to note that finally the government of India has decided to open this consulate in Marseille, and that, as you say, will not just lead to people ties, but you must look at Marseille in the context of the India, Middle East to Europe economic corridor. Marseille will be an extremely important port which will enable this corridor, which will go from India to the Gulf to Europe. Marseille will be the beachhead where a lot of these goods which take this India, Middle East, Europe economic corridor will get off in Marseille to find its way to various parts of Europe. So all in all, geopolitically an extremely important visit, a visit which is very different because of the geopolitical context.
Certainly. And if you look at the outcomes, apart from what you spoke about in terms of technology and nuclear energy, which may be used to power technology in itself, there is, of course, the India-France Year of Innovation 2026 logo, which has been finalized. There is also partnerships about the fact that there is a triangular development cooperation that India and France have, and also about the environment. So what does that tell you about the relationship?
I think of all the things that you have just mentioned, and they're all important, I would point to the triangular development cooperation as a very important aspect. If I remember rightly, this is the first time we have made a reference to trilateral issues in a bilateral document. In the joint statement between France and India, there is a reference to India, France, UAE trilateral cooperation
Yes.
and India, France, Australia trilateral cooperation. In development cooperation economists, among them, this will be called triangular development cooperation since it involves two developing countries and one developed country, or two developed countries and one developing country. This is extremely critical for the Indo-Pacific region. And I think India's emphasis on Quad is justified, and Quad is extremely important. But I think India should not put all its eggs in the Quad basket. That is what India is trying to do by promoting cooperation with UAE, France in the Indian Ocean region, and with Australia, France in the Pacific region. That will take care of India's geopolitical interests in addition to Quad. And I'm not suggesting that we are de-emphasizing or giving Quad a lesser importance than what it deserves, but it is all part, as you can see, Gautam, a part of a hedging strategy, a geopolitical hedging strategy that India is putting in place, where we don't devalue our cooperation with US and Trump, but we enhance our strategic options so that it makes it easier for India to achieve its objectives. There is a certain degree of comfort working with UAE. I have noticed that. I have been part of the track 2 trilateral between India, France, UAE. And similarly with Australia and France as well, we have been able to achieve quite a few things, particularly in the area of marine economic stability and so on. So that's something we are already doing in the context of Quad, but we can further expand it when we work with India, France, and Australia. France, bear in mind, is the largest, has got the largest real estate in Indian Ocean. It's a resident Indian Ocean power, and that should give India a lot of motivation to work with France.
Certainly, and I wish we had more time to talk about it, but I'm afraid we're coming towards the end of the show, so I'll thank you at this point. But I'm sure we'll have more occasions to talk about it as India and France make rapid progress in their overall relationship.